Hello tubers and welcome to Scary Part 13. And I don't believe any of those numbers things, but anyway, that's another story. Welcome to Ross. And as I promised you, we have come away from the coast. We're about, I don't know, whatever it is, 70, 80, 90 k's inland. And what a beautiful town, full of history. A lot of the buildings are made out of local sandstone that was quarried. We'll have a quick look at the quarry. But it's also home to the Ross Women's Factory. No, it's not where they used to make women. It was a convict sort of settlement, or whatever you'd want to call it, for the female of the species. Sort of a Port Arthur equivalent. But yeah, there's not a lot of it left. There's only sort of one main building and the yards left, but yeah, nonetheless we shall have a look around and see what's going on. Tubers, this is pretty much all of that's left of the Ross Female Factory. Started 1848 and went to 1854, 6 years, and if I understood correctly, about 12,000 female prisoners came through in that time. That is quite a few. And once again, it's no holiday camp for anyone. Changing the subject slightly, guys, one thing I have noticed around Ross and the surrounding areas, dry as a chip. They mustn't have had much rain at all. A lot of the, fields and surrounding mountains and all of that, everything's quite brown and quite dry. So, yeah, they could really use a drop of rain here. Guys, this is the Ross Bridge over Macquarie River, I think it's called. Used to be the main highway before it was bypassed, of course. Yeah, beautiful piece of work, supervised by a couple of convict stonemasons. But when you have a look at the way it's carved out and how they carved the words in their sandstone, which come from the quarry as we spoke about, absolutely amazing. I just can't help but admire these tradespeople that I think we seem to be losing all the time, and correct me if I'm wrong, but absolutely incredible. Also coming up, you'll see the church. I don't know what denomination is. I don't really care. I'm not religious, and I don't frequent churches, but beautiful inside. Magnificent stained glass windows and that. And once again, you've just got to admire the skills and the tradespeople, but also the surrounding history. Haven't all towns have got the history, but haven't come across one with as much history as Ross, for such a small town. Apparently, the Chinese love it. Plenty of Chinese tourists in Ross, and it's marketed, Ross, the town itself, in China. And it just goes to show it's for such a small little town of a couple of hundred people, it's incredibly popular. But yeah, also went to I think it's called the Manor Ross Hotel, and had a very nice feed. And I've probably had the best mushroom sauce I have ever had. So yeah, keep that in mind for the next time you're coming through, Ross. If I haven't mentioned it before, I will now. So much of Ross, and I guess a lot of other surrounding towns, all made by this local sandstone, and they make the most beautiful buildings. Have a look at the work and that goes into those sandstone structures. Amazing. Interesting little feature on the Midland Highway at a roadhouse there for the truckies, Truckies Memorial. I think there's also one on the Hume Highway too, but yeah, good idea. to remember these guys, because everything in this country comes on a truck at some stage. The Midland Highway, the straightest, flattest bit of road in Tasmania, and it was great. Guys, this is the Westbury Steam World, I think they called it. A lot of the stuff was donated or owned and donated and set up by the Pern brothers, who you saw in the first shot. Apparently they're local farmers, contractors, you name it. If it had anything to do with machinery, they were buying it and doing it. So, yeah, as you know, guys, I love these places, full of all the stuff I like. A lot of unrestored projects, massive amount of steam engines, or steam rollers, I guess you'd call them. I've been to the Scoresby steam show or steam rally in Victoria many times, and I've never seen this many steam engines. Most of these are going, and they're, fantastic, and it's got to be one of the biggest displays of steam rollers or engines, whatever you want to call them, in Australia. So it's quite big in that respect. Lots of old stuff, a lot of old tractors too, and bits and pieces, heaps of stationary motors. So, like, your Ronaldson Tippets, all that sort of thing, plenty of them. Fantastic place, as I say, full of all the stuff that I love. Yeah, guys, one thing I've noticed while travelling around Tasmania is you come across a lot of this old sort of stuff. Cars, trucks, tractors, older equipment of all sorts. And I was talking to the curator here, or caretaker, or whatever you want to call him, one of the volunteers, and he was saying, the big metal recyclers aren't really into Tasmania, your Sims Metal and that sort of thing, which would account for a lot of this stuff still being around, which I think is great. It's history, and we wouldn't want to lose it. We'd like to have working examples of all of this sort of stuff. This is where the volunteers are great, and if I lived down here, I'd volunteer a lot of my time to help with the restoration of this sort of stuff. It's important that we remember where we came from. Very interesting east-west engine in this case. Haven't seen one of them. Plenty of old agricultural machinery. A lot of the stuff I don't even know what it does. There's a couple of shaft drive or shaft powered lathes, so a belt would have been hooked up to an overhead shaft that was run by a steam engine, and the belt drops down to the lathe or whatever the piece of equipment is and gives it power. So yeah, lots of that sort of stuff. As I say, a lot of agricultural equipment, and coming up you'll also see a old excavator. And I'm going to call on my OHS background again, but you have a look inside the cabin of this thing. Number one, you've got this screaming diesel right behind you that would have made so much noise. Number two, within easy reach of your arms is gears and all sorts of things. How they got away with it in those days, I know I've said it before, but I'm going to say it again. I would love to see the safe work method statements on some of these bits of machinery. I just reckon it's, they still got the work done back then, even around these hazards. So makes you wonder about the legislation and all that. Well, tubers, that's part 13. We're going to have a little bit more of the Westbury Steam Museum in part 14. I know you're probably bored stupid with it. I don't care. I enjoy it. No, it's all good. We'll see you then. See you guys.